My name is Ava, and at 27 years old, I was living the life I'd always dreamed of with my husband in our stunning dream house. A reward for years of hard work, the house boasted a spacious garden and a refreshing pool. Both of us were thriving in our careers, me as a lawyer and him as a doctor. Everything was perfect until the day his parents moved in. What initially seemed like a temporary solution to their financial troubles turned into an indefinite arrangement. As the weeks went by, his parents began to settle in, imposing their rules and preferences on our home. I quickly realized that this temporary situation was becoming a permanent fixture, and I felt increasingly out of place. This story centers around the confrontation I had with my in-laws in front of their son. They arrived unexpectedly one night, sharing the devastating news that they had lost their home and savings to a scam. Faced with no other options, my husband turned to me with a heartfelt plea. Ava, something terrible has happened. Mom and Dad have nowhere else to turn. They're devastated, and we need your help. Can we let them stay until they get back on their feet? Caught off guard but wanting to be supportive, I assured them, of course, we'll figure this out together. Stay with us, and we'll get through this. Filled with gratitude, they replied, thank you both so much for your kindness. We promise we'll find a way to repay you. Family supports each other, after all. Mr. Henry, our priority is helping you rebuild your lives, I reassured them. Ava, thank you, we'll do everything we can to get back on our feet quickly. Before they moved in, I had planned a brief break from work to recharge. Little did I know they would misinterpret my time off as being unemployed. Just 2 days after their arrival, my mother-in-law approached me with well-intentioned but misguided concern. I was taken aback by her blunt question, not expecting such a conversation so soon. Why aren't you working? Do you depend entirely on Abel for financial support? She asked. Oh no, it's not that. I took a few days off to relax and recharge. I'll be back to work soon, I explained. Well, dear, it might be a burden for Abel if you don't manage your expenses. You should think about being financially independent. I appreciate your concern, Jack, but I assure you I'm not relying entirely on Abel for our expenses. I have my own income and contribute to our household finances. This break is simply for self-care, and once I'm back at work, everything will return to normal. Okay, dear, I just wanted to make sure everything is all right. You know we care about you both. Thank you, Jack. I understand your worries, and I truly appreciate your concern for our well-being. I promise I'll be back at work soon, and we'll manage our finances as we always have. After that conversation, the dynamics between my in-laws and me soured. Whenever I mustered the courage to ask for financial assistance, I sensed their disapproving glares and irritation. One day, as I walked by the living room, I overheard a conversation between my father-in-law and mother-in-law. I don't understand why she refuses to work. She's been jobless for weeks and seems to rely solely on Abel's wealth for her shopping sprees. I spoke with her, and she claims she handles all the expenses, but I see her asking for money from Abel constantly. I've always had my doubts about her. She must think we're naive, believing she can take advantage of Abel's hard-earned money without lifting a finger herself. We need to talk to either Abel or Ava about this. I don't support their decisions. My heart sank as I listened to their misguided assumptions. They had painted me as a lazy gold digger, squandering Abel's money on frivolous shopping instead of contributing to our home. I had always envisioned a harmonious family life, and after marrying Abel, I was unaware that his parents had different expectations of me. Every day, I found myself at the beck and call of my in-laws, who seemed to take pleasure in bossing me around. They treated me like a gold digger, assuming I depended entirely on their son for everything. This behavior created a toxic dynamic in our home, making me feel more like a servant than a valued family member. The strain of this dynamic was most evident during mealtimes. While I tirelessly prepared all the meals, my mother-in-law and father-in-law would lounge around, seemingly oblivious to my efforts. They expected me to cater to their every whim, even asking for something as simple as a glass of water as if it were my duty to serve them. Ava, dear, could you please put Daniel's and my clothes into the laundry? I'm so tired, my mother-in-law would say. Sure, I'll do it, I would respond, though inside I felt resentful. They would ask for water 9 or 10 times a day, and the house was a perpetual mess. Even our maid was worn out from their behavior. Cleaning the floors had become a regular task due to their constant spills. The TV blared variety shows at full volume, giving me headaches whenever I tried to concentrate on my work. Interruptions were inevitable. One day, my mother-in-law requested medicine, insisting I go to the pharmacy myself instead of using an online delivery service. I explained that the online pharmacy could deliver in half an hour, which was the same time it would take me to get it myself. Despite the extra cost of my personal effort, she called me lazy, claiming I should comply with her requests since her son was financially supporting me. I defended my work, emphasizing the importance of the documents I was handling, but she dismissed my efforts. You should remember that your husband supports you, and we built this household together. He committed to ensuring our well-being while you enjoy the comforts of this home. I couldn't hide my disappointment any longer. Your disrespectful and ungrateful attitude is increasingly evident. The serene atmosphere we once had is unraveling. Your presence has injected tension into our happy home, making it feel suffocating. The constant meddling and unsolicited advice from you and your husband have created a growing divide between Daniel and me. In the midst of this turmoil, I felt lost and unsure of whom to confide in. I turned to my best friend, Diane, seeking her insights. Several weeks ago, we graciously welcomed my in-laws into our home after they lost their house and savings to a scam. What began as a kind gesture has turned into an absolute nightmare. I continued, they are the most discourteous and ungrateful individuals imaginable. Their behavior is unbearable. They treat me like a servant and a stranger, constantly finding fault in everything I do. It's as if they believe they own the house and everything in it. Their demanding nature shows no signs of slowing, and they expect everything to be done according to their preferences. They use our belongings carelessly, squandering our resources. Our once peaceful home has devolved into a noisy, messy, and chaotic environment. Living under these conditions is incredibly frustrating. It feels like I'm trapped in a state of constant chaos and stress. Their actions leave me feeling devalued and unappreciated. It's disheartening to think they would treat a family member, especially their own, so poorly. I've tried to address these issues, hoping for a resolution, but it only seems to make matters worse. Currently, while I'm on a work break, they assume I'm jobless and entirely reliant on my husband, Abel, for support, despite having my own savings. Their disrespect and presumptions make me feel like a burden rather than a partner. My dream home has transformed into a nightmare, and I know I need to find a way out of this situation. I confided in Jocelyn, who suggested I talk to Abel about the situation with his parents. She was right. He needed to understand their wrongful behavior. Gathering my courage, I planned a conversation with him, knowing we had to address these growing familial tensions. When the moment arrived, I voiced my concerns. Honey, isn't it time your parents found their own place? It's been months, and I miss having our space to ourselves. He replied, I understand, but they're still not financially stable. I can't just ask them to leave. I acknowledged his point and said, I'm not suggesting we abandon them, but we deserve our space too. Remember, this was our dream house. It's just a matter of a few more days. They'll leave soon. However, as the days turned into weeks, my frustration grew. The once joyful conversations at the dinner table devolved into tense silences. I could feel my husband's attention slipping away, as if he was gradually being pulled under by his parents' demands. One day, while Abel was at work, his parents asked to have a serious conversation with me. Their stern expressions set the tone for what was to come. As we sat down, they began, Listen, we need to talk. We've come to a decision. We think it's time for you to leave. We don't like you or trust you, and we feel like you're just using our son for his money. You're jobless, and we see you as a gold digger. Stunned by their accusations, I quickly protested. That's not true. I love your son genuinely. I didn't marry him for his money. I married him out of real love. But their perspective was entirely different. They claimed I was a detrimental influence on him, insisting that he deserved someone better. They unequivocally demanded that I exit his life and vacate their home, presenting it as my only chance to comply. Desperate for understanding, I asked if we could discuss the matter further. Their response was cold and dismissive. They stated that their decision was final. Confounded and seeking clarity, I pressed them for their rationale. They bluntly declared that they didn't believe my love for their son was genuine. They accused me of being motivated solely by financial gain, ignoring my explanation that my current break from work was a conscious choice for personal development. I pleaded with them, emphasizing that my commitment to their son wasn't driven by money. I recounted our early days together when he was just a student, stressing that I married him for love, not financial gain. Yet their skepticism persisted. insinuating that I had opportunistically seized upon his potential. I explained how I had supported him in his aspirations without seeking material gain, but they remained adamant in their conviction that I was after his wealth. I asserted my rights as his wife, reminding them that I had a legitimate claim on him. However, they accused me of manipulation, contending that my kindness was merely a facade. Despite my attempts to reconcile, they labeled me a negative influence and refused to consider the possibility of finding common ground. Frustrated and distressed, I implored them to reconsider, expressing my genuine desire to salvage my marriage. Yet their uncompromising stance left me grappling with the reality of losing the love and partnership I cherished. It's too late for that. We've already made arrangements for you to leave in a week. A week? That's hardly enough time. Please reconsider. No, our decision is final. You have 1 week to pack your things and leave. I can't believe you're doing this to me. I never thought you would treat me this way. It's for the best. You're not right for our son, and we won't allow you to ruin his life. You can't control our lives like this. We're adults, and we can make our own decisions. We know what's best for him, and he will thank us one day. Well, I won't leave without a fight. I love him, and I won't let you tear us apart. We'll see about that, but mark our words, you are not welcome here anymore. As they delivered their ultimatum, I felt a strange mix of amusement and disbelief at the unfolding drama. However, their assumption that I was jobless was glaring. It was time to set the record straight. Let me clarify, I am not jobless or a gold digger, as you seem to think. I am a successful lawyer with a thriving career and financial independence. Oh, is that so? Why should we believe you? You ask Abel for money from time to time, they challenged. I think you're mistaken. That couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, I contribute equally to our household expenses and even help pay for half of the house we used to live in. I have all the legal documents to prove it. More importantly, despite recent events, it's crucial to understand that my husband and I have a loving and strong marriage. We've faced financial challenges, but our relationship is built on love and mutual support. Upon revealing my successful career, one of them scornfully dismissed it as delusion. The irony was not lost on me. They were the ones evading the authorities. I could see their faces pale as the weight of their actions began to sink in, shattering the veneer of comfort they had worn for so long and exposing their unscrupulous nature. In response to their incredulous denial, I dropped a bombshell. I discovered your little scam, and I've reported it to the authorities. You're not victims, you're criminals who have deceived and swindled countless people out of their hard-earned money. Their protests and accusations of preposterousness held no ground. It's not just an accusation, the evidence is overwhelming. The police are actively searching for you, and it's only a matter of time before you face the court. Their incredulity deepened. This can't be happening. We're respected members of society. I countered, respected members do not cheat innocent people out of their money. You thought you could get away with it, but justice will prevail, the law will catch up to you, and you'll face the consequences of your actions. Outraged, they attempted to shift the blame. How could you betray us like this? We are your husband's parents. I betrayed you first when you tried to trick me into leaving my own house. So many innocent people have suffered because of your actions. I won't stand idly by while you harm more lives. The truth will prevail, and you will be held accountable for your crimes. But it was a misunderstanding. We thought you were a bad influence on our son. Yes, that's correct, and I believe you are a bad influence on our lives, which I made sure to report to the authorities. You're bluffing. No, I'm not. You're criminals who have cheated hundreds of people out of their hard-earned money. The police are after you, and it's only a matter of time before they catch up. As our conversation reached its peak, a knock on the door interrupted us. Opening it, I found police officers standing there, ready to take my in-laws into custody. They had tirelessly tracked them down for months and were grateful for the tip I had provided. Are these the individuals you reported? Yes, officers, these are the ones. The officers wasted no time. They swiftly handcuffed my in-laws and read them their rights. Their faces turned pale as the reality of their situation set in. We've been after them for quite some time. Thank you for your cooperation. Your tip-off has helped us bring these criminals to justice. You're welcome, officers. I couldn't stand by while they continued to harm innocent people. It's good to see justice being served. With my in-laws now in police custody, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. The deception had been exposed. and they would face the consequences of their actions. The police officers expressed their gratitude once more before escorting my in-laws away. Later that day, when Abel returned from work, I knew it was time to share the whole story with him. I laid out the details of his parents' financial misdeeds, not holding back any information. To my relief, Abel stood by my side, understanding the depth of their betrayal and the necessity of consequences. "We'll get through this together," he reassured me. Finally, I felt a deep sense of gratitude that our home now belonged to us, and no one could invade our privacy. Once again, our peaceful life was back on track, with his parents facing the consequences of their actions.